Hello and welcome back to another week of playing Pauper. I'm your host, Jake Stiles, and this week's deck is the green aggro deck known as Stompy. Due to the abundance of Paragon Drake decks, it currently has one of the highest percentage of shares in the metagame. It can kill quickly and it resists removal spells, and for that it's pretty good. Let's look at the pieces of the deck. We have 4 Nettle Sentinel as a 1-mana 2/2. Its doesn't untap clause is rarely relevant because we're able to cast a green spell almost every turn to keep it untapped. 4 Young Wolf, which is our 1-mana 2/2 that starts out as a 1-mana 1/1 until it dies and comes back. 4 Corian Ranger, which is sort of like a 0-mana 1/1. You can play it, return a forest, and then have a new land drop for the turn if you haven't played your forest yet. We also have another 1-mana 2/2, 3 of Skargan Pitskulk. It's a very good card and very efficient. The problem with it is because of Bloodthirst, you have to play it after turn 1, and you have to play it after you hit the opponent and make contact with the creature, which is the main reason why most lists don't play the full 4 of this card. Also in our creature suite are 4 Nest Invader, very efficient, and can trigger Morbid, as we'll see later, by sacrificing the spawn token. 2 River Boa, which is fighting its non-blue decks, but is also like a pre-sideboard card against blue decks in that it can't be blocked due to the Island Walk. And also a Singleton Shine-In of Life's Roar. You can use this to mess up combat and make a bunch of your creatures get through unblocked if you need to get through a board stall. Next we have Silhana Ledgewalker and Vault Scourge. 2-mana 1/1 and a 1-mana 1/1 technically in our deck, since we can never pay the Phyrexian mana, we have to pay 2 life. Not very impressive on their own, however, with Hexproof in the Ledgewalker and Lifelink on the Vault Scourge, these are very good creatures to power up. And besides creatures, the rest of our deck is full of ways to power creatures up, so let's look at those. We have 2 Mutagenic Growth as a 0-mana spell that we can also play on our opponent's turn when we're tapped out. 4 Groundswell, which can pump for 2 or 4 depending on landfall. 3 Hunger of the Howlpack, which can pump up a creature very huge, especially if your opponent removes one or one dies in combat. And 4 Vines of Vastwood, which can either be used to dodge a removal spell or pump up your creature by a large amount, or both. And finally we have 4 Rancor, which is extremely powerful. You stick it on a creature, you trade the creature off, you stick it on another creature, and you repeat. Out of the sideboard we have 4 Scattershot Archer for shooting down flying creatures. 3 Epic Confrontation, when we actually need a little bit of interaction in our deck to kill opposing creatures. 4 Gleeful Sabotage, which can take out 2 artifacts or enchantments at a time with Conspire. And lastly we have 2 Tangle for decks that also deal large amounts of damage at 1 step. We also have 2 Elephant Guide. This can be a good value card, say against a mono black control deck, where you're sure that the only way your creature is going to leave the table is most likely by dying, that they can't bounce it or exile it or so on. Anyway, that's it for the deck. Kind of surprised it's taken me so long to get around to something that's now so popular, but hopefully we'll have some fun with it. Don't forget that you can send me your deck ideas for me to play. If I use them, I'll give you a shout out. You can email them to pauper@mtggoldfish.com or tweet them to me at jakestylesmtg.